For decades, the Ministry of Magic sold everyone a lie. They call it the Trace. Officially, it is just a neutral safety measure to keep the wizarding world hidden. But that is a cover story. The Trace is actually a targeted tool to watch and control people. If you are a Muggle-born, it means that for a quarter of your school years, you are legally disarmed. Meanwhile, your pureblood classmates can cast spells all summer without anyone stopping them.
How did a protective spell turn into a way to control people? It comes down to a deliberate design flaw. The Trace does not track who casts a spell. It only tracks where the magic happens. This single loophole split the wizarding world right down bloodlines. Today, we are looking past the Ministry's propaganda to see how the Trace really works, who it actually protects, and how it was eventually used to hunt down rebels.
To see how this works, look at the law. In 1875, the Ministry passed the Decree for the Reasonable Restriction of Underage Sorcery. This rule banned underage magic outside school. But the magic behind the Trace is clumsy. As Alistair Moody explained, it is just a charm that detects spells cast near anyone under 17. It cannot tell which wand was used or who used it. It just flags that magic happened near an underage witch or wizard.
This is where the system is rigged. If you are a pureblood or half-blood child in a wizarding home, you can cast spells all summer. When the Ministry detects magic there, they assume your parents did it. They call this parental trust. They say they trust magical parents to discipline their kids. But the real result is that wealthy, established wizarding families can train their children year-round. That gives them a massive head start in school.
But look at Muggle-borns. They live in non-magical neighborhoods. If any magic happens near their homes, the Ministry flags it instantly because they know no adult wizards live there. This keeps Muggle-borns under constant watch. They cannot practice their magic for months. It is an educational barrier built right into the law. If the Ministry wanted secrecy, they could just collect wands for the summer. They do not. They leave wands in children's hands, knowing only purebloods can actually use them. The system was designed to keep this division alive.
This broken system did more than hurt grades. It cost lives. In the summer of 1943, 16-year-old Tom Riddle went to the Gaunt cottage, took his Uncle Morphin's wand, and murdered his Muggle father and grandparents. Because the murders happened near an adult wizard, the Trace was useless. The Ministry could not tell that an underage wizard cast the killing curses. They accepted a false confession instead and sent Morphin Gaunt to Azkaban. The Trace did not protect anyone. It shielded a future Dark Lord.
Decades later, the same double standards showed up at Harry Potter's house. In 1992, Dobby the house elf cast a hover charm at Privet Drive. The Trace flagged the location instantly, but because they could not identify who cast the spell, the Ministry blamed Harry. They did not know a house elf was responsible. They just saw magic near an underage wizard in a Muggle house and assumed he was guilty.
The rules changed depending on who was looking. A year later, Harry accidentally inflated his Aunt Marge. By law, that was a major violation. But the Ministry was panicking over Sirius Black's escape, so Minister Cornelius Fudge dropped the charges. No trial, no warning, no punishment. The law only applied when it was politically convenient. By 1995, the Ministry stopped pretending the Trace was about secrecy. They used it as a weapon. Dolores Umbridge wanted to silence Harry's warnings about Voldemort, so she sent 2 Dementors to his neighborhood. She knew Harry would have to cast a Patronus to survive. The moment he did, the Trace went off. The Ministry tried to expel him, snap his wand, and end his education before he even got a fair hearing. The system was no longer just biased. It was a setup to destroy a political enemy.
The real danger of this tracking system became clear in 1997. When Voldemort's regime took over the Ministry, they did not have to build a surveillance network from scratch. The infrastructure was already in place, built by the Ministry under the excuse of protecting children.
The Death Eaters used the same logic to create the Taboo. They put a jinx on Voldemort's name, turning the whole country into a tracking grid. If you said his name, the Taboo pinpointed your exact location and sent snatchers right to you. The same basic system that once tracked kids' homework was now hunting down the Resistance.
That is the real story of the Trace. It was never about safety. It was built on a lie to keep Muggle-borns down while letting the wizarding elite ignore the rules. By leaving this loophole open for generations, the Ministry built a perfect tracking tool. Voldemort barely had to change a thing to turn it into a weapon of